So Bhagavad Gita 10:29 and 30. So we've already started. So I am not reading the verses again. Maybe I'll just read the translations so that for posterity. So 10:29. Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham pitrinam aryamachasmi yamah samyamatamaham. Of the many-hooded Nagas, I am Ananta, and among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death. And 10:30 is Prahladaschasmi daityanam kalah kalayatamaham mriganam cha mrigendroham vainateyascha pakshinam. Among the Daitya demons, I am the devoted Prahlad. Among subduers, I am Time. Among beasts, I am the lion. And among birds, I am Garuda. So, continuing from where we left off. So, we are scientists of today are trying to find out whether there is life on other planets, but we are speaking of, Krishna is speaking of these personalities who are inhabitants and not just inhabitants, the leaders of civilizations on those respective planets, like Yamaraj, Aryama, Prahlad, and of course lion we have seen, Garuda we have not. So we're talking about living entities who are sometimes on this planet, sometimes not on this planet, but we're talking about them as if it's a matter of fact, whereas scientists are still figuring out whether there is life, whether at least there is some bacteria or not on Mars. Here there is so much life they're destroying. There they want to find some bacteria. So, now coming to this point, Ananta. Who is Ananta? So Ananta Shesh, he is the actually expansion of Sankarshan in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. Sankarshan is expansion of Balaram, who is an expansion of Krishna. First expansion from Krishna is Balaram. From him come the Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. From that Sankarshan comes the Adi Narayana. And from Narayana comes the second quadruple expansion, Chaturvyuha, where Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And from that Sankarshan, who is called the Mahasankarshan, he expands into the material world as Purushavatāras. The Karanodakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, who expands in Paramatma in every single atom and heart of living entities. So in this way, he is expanded. He also expands as the Sheshanaga. So, sometimes is known as Ananta, sometimes as Shesha. Shesha, he's called Shesha because Shesha means end. End. So he has reached, actually so Balaram, if you see, and Sankarshan, if you see, he serves Krishna. So he is the servitor Godhead. Sevya Bhagavan and Sevaka Bhagavan. So the one who is served is Krishna, and Balaram or Sankarshan serves Krishna. Not only as like friend and brother. And when he came as Ram, there is Lakshman who served him. But not just that. The dress, the flute, the peacock feathers, all the paraphernalia that exists in the service of the Lord is an expansion of this Sankarshan. So he expands as unlimited paraphernalia and even the bedding of the Lord, everything, the bugle, all the paraphernalia of the Lord is actually an expansion of Sankarshan. The ornaments that Krishna wears, everything. So in that way, he has reached the limit, the end of service of Krishna. Because Krishna is unlimited, service to him is also unlimited, which is Ananta. But because he has reached the end of such service, he can completely serve Krishna, completely capable of serving Krishna. Therefore, his name is also called Shesha. So, Ananta, he is the of the many hooded nagas. We in this material world, I mean, on this earth, we only know of one hooded snake, one hood snake. But there are many hooded snakes also. In fact, there is a whole planet called Nagaloka, where there are different kinds of reptiles there, huge snakes. And it's actually in the path of the Rasatal planetary system, where it is dark actually, completely dark, and it's only illuminated by the jewels on the head of those nagas. So, such Nagalokas are there, and probably even dinosaurs are there, because they're also reptiles. So, it's a planet of huge reptiles, Nagaloka. So, Ananta. And the peculiar thing about Ananta, if you see, there is this brand, right, of mattress, King Coil. So actually the origin is actually Anantadev, who is like coil, like, and he is the king of all coils. And he is soft, and actually in Lord Narayana, he lies on the Anantasesh. Why? Because very soft and cool. Snakes are cold-blooded animals, right? So it is very cool and soft. So that's the best bed. So if you want a best bed, try snakes. So he lies on the Anantasesh. And therefore we have king coil mattresses, springs, like coil. So nothing, I mean, we think we have invented always something, but actually the origin of such ideas is always the Lord. This is not even just like a joke, it's a real thing. Whatever ideas we have, they cannot exist without already existing in reality somewhere, in some form. We can only borrow things. We think we are creative, but actually we are not. What we do is, whatever we think we have created, it already exists in a much better way in higher realms. We are inventing and discovering very gross versions of such things. For example, we have the screen, right? We have the screen, and it has evolved over time. At one point, it was a small box with a black and white screen, talking about 50, 60 years ago or more, 70 years ago. And eventually it became a color TV, and eventually it became flat screen TV. And then all that big, at the back there was a huge engine that is gone, the tube and all that. And now it's like a complete thin screen. And now there are VR, like when we were young, they used to say, don't sit so close to the TV, your eyes will spoil. Now they put TV here. VR. Yeah, they put the TV right at the eyes. So with VR, you have, and now there is AR, augmented reality, where you have just glasses. You are seeing everything, but also you are seeing another layer of screens or whatever it is. So they think this is advancing. Oh, we are advancing in science and technology. Well, Sanjaya saw the battlefield from the palace, and he was describing to Dhritarashtra. The whole Bhagavad Gita is actually Sanjaya narrating what was happening in the Kurukshetra battlefield to Dhritarashtra. Now, Kurukshetra battlefield was hundreds of kilometers away, and he was in the palace with Dhritarashtra in where? Indraprastha, is it? Hastinapur, yes. About Delhi there. So, He was there. So how was he relating? What was happening? Live commentary he was giving. Now just imagine what he was seeing. It is better than VR, better than AR. Because in the first 10 verses, you will see that he was describing the conversation between who? Duryodhan and Dronacharya. And Bhishmadev comes and he blows the conch shell. The conversation between Duryodhan and Dronacharya. So on the Kaurava's side, a very, two people speaking, how far can it be heard? That means you have to be really close, right? So he, sitting there, he had such a close-up view of Duryodhan and Dronacharya speaking. Then immediately, Krishna and Arjuna were speaking from 19th verse of the first chapter. He zoomed into the Pandavas side. So he could not only 3D, but even sound, he can zoom in wherever he wants and collect whatever he wants to know. And he can have full bird's eye view of the whole battlefield. The description of the two armies were being described, and then zoomed in conversation of Duryodhan and Dronacharya, then zoomed in conversation between Krishna and Arjuna were described. And the whole conversation after that was Krishna and Arjuna only. And even after that, the whole 18 days war he's describing to Dhritarashtra. He was experiencing. I mean, with VR you can only hear and see. What about smelling? What about actually, being there? Being there. Touching, tasting, smelling, we cannot from VR. Only 2 senses are being activated. But all senses activation, and at the same time sitting somewhere else and describing it to Dhritarashtra. You look at the technology. That will be required. So such things were possible just by yogic power, mystic power. These things were possible, and it only was with people who were qualified. Modern technology fails at that. It gives power to stupid people. We are not free speech, freedom absolutists. No, we are not. Because what does that mean? That means we are not for free speech. Actually, ideally, it's not that everybody should have free speech. Some people they're better off just keeping their mouth shut and listening and actually learning and following. Not everybody should be on the same level of speaking. No. That's not the Vedic culture. The guru speaks, the disciple listens. Not that the disciple also, like nowadays they have podcasts. 2 people sitting chairs equal height, and they're sitting and talking, having a chat. It's not a guru-disciple chat. Guru is teaching, disciple is hearing. And there is submission, there is discipline. This is the standard. And unless one is qualified, one cannot speak. One is not expected to speak. Prabhupada said in one of the purports, nobody dared write a book unless he was actually a self-realized soul. So that is the standard. So even there were debates between Pandits and all. They were going on. But when they lost, logically, they became disciples of the people who they lost to. The victors of the argument. So in this way, there is a specific standard. We are not free speech absolutists. Not everybody should have freedom of expression. No. And that does not mean they should be oppressed. That also is not correct. Just like children, they are not given full freedom, right? Do you give them? Oh, you go on the road. 3-year-old child, let him go on the road. Freedom. No, we should not restrict them. No. So they're prone to danger. Similarly, a population that is unenlightened is prone to degradation, and therefore they should not be given freedom. Democracy was never the system. It was monarchy. But because monarchy came to be abused in Kali Yuga, it was finally abolished, and now there is democracy, which is also being abused at this current point. There is manipulation, there is so much. And also, the problem with democracy, again, democracy should not be put on a pedestal. It's actually a very, very horrible system, to be very honest. Because the ruler has no power to exert his authority to put forward proper religious systems in place. Because the king's duty is to actually make sure that the population is advancing spiritually and ensure also their material comfort while they are here in this world, but enable their spiritual growth is actually what the ruler should do. Now they think that is not their business. That is the business of the religious leaders. We should just give political and economic opportunities to the people. That's what they think now is the duty of the state. But if you study our Vedas and our Itihasas, our Puranas, all the kings, let's take Ramachandra or Yudhishthir Maharaj or Prithu Maharaj, they were great kings, far greater kings than any of these. And they had kingdoms which extend way beyond even the current planet at times. And yet, they ruled it so perfectly, even until 5,000 years ago. Arjuna's grandson, Parikshit Maharaj, he was ruling so perfectly that Kali Yuga could not enter the earth. The influence of Kali Yuga was not possible because he was not allowing it. The personality, the personified Kali came. He was trying to kill a cow with his sword. And Parikshit Maharaj stopped. No, you cannot kill. I will kill you. Then he took out his sword. Yes, Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. So what happened? Kali begged him, oh, I am also your subject. I am also your citizen. So you should give me protection. Don't kill me. No, okay, then don't kill the cow. You cannot kill the cow. You kill the cow, you will be killed. So you see how the king was so strict. Capital punishment is good. For one who has murdered, he should be killed. Life for a life. So that next life he will not suffer that. Otherwise, if he is spared for this life, next life he will have to be murdered. But if he is killed for his mistake, the next life he will start afresh. It's actually good for him. That is Vedic understanding of punishment. So even if he kills a cow, immediately he should be killed. So that is the level at which very strict, and it is good that way. And there should not be a no confidence motion and then we'll remove him, impeach him. There's no such thing. Monarchy means monarchy, and he is king for life until he retires. Of course, they are also not stupid fellows. After a certain age, they will go to Vanaprasth. They will become mendicants, complete avadhut. They used to do like that. They were not attached to be kings until the end of life. No. They handed over to able, their sons usually used to take over. Now they call it nepotism. But it's not just because of they were sons. They were also trained and qualified to take over the reins. And once they are in able hands, they used to leave. So this was the system. So now that is all gone. Kali Yuga. Mlecha Rajanya Rupina. Asanskrita Kriyahina. Nobody knows what is the aim of life. And one blind leader will lead other millions of blind people. And this way the whole world is a mess. Now we are living in this mess. So we cannot expect the government to understand and change. But if we preached to people more and more, if more and more people understand what is the actual value of life, then even if it is a democratic process, they will elect an able leader. And then there can be some order. Otherwise, you can do whatever economic reforms or whatever, nothing will work. Everything, it may be a temporary, relief for a while, but it will not endure. Eventually, it will end in destruction of everyone's interests. So, coming back to this point, Ananta, is among the Nagas. Among the aquatics, Varuna. So Varuna also we do not see like that. We see aquatic animals, but there is also a presiding deity of the water bodies of the universe. So everything has a departmental head, and he has his assistants and the natural course of, what we see, the natural movements of atmosphere or whatever. So, but behind that all, there is the demigods, and behind the demigods is Krishna, ultimately. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama. So, Aryama is the presiding deity over the Pitraloka. In the original 1972 Bhagavad Gita, this is a mistake here. In the purport, it is mentioned here. There is also a planet of, instead of pitas, they put trees. So, a planet of trees. So anyway, so Aryama, there is this Pitraloka as well. Those who are being offered the pinda every year, the food and water, that is offered to the ancestors, and such ancestor will remain in Pitraloka. If such offerings are stopped, then they will fall from there. Or if they associate with devotees, then they can further advance from there. Like that. And among dispensers of law, I am Yamaraj. So Yamaraj is the superintendent of death, and nobody is a better dispenser of law than Yamaraj. Judge. He is the judge who judges all our actions. Whose actions he judges? Only those in human life. Animals are not judged because they don't have the capacity to discern between what is correct and what is wrong. They don't have dharma. Dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubhir samana. It is said. The thing that distinguishes us from the animals is dharma. Otherwise, like modern way of description of man is they're social animals. So that's how they define man. But actually, yeah, if you take out the spiritual aspect, the religious aspect, yeah, they're nothing better than animals. In fact, what we're doing with our current civilization is just a polished version of animal life. Because animals are busy with eating, sleeping, family, and defending themselves from danger. And we are also doing the same thing. So there is nothing different. We're just doing it with a little bit of sophistication, that's all. Polished version of animals. So that's not a very high grade life. The high grade life means we have to come to dharma. Dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesha. Vishesha, the unique thing about us is we have dharma, access to dharma. And if we choose not to, then we are just living an animal life, then we'll be punished for that. So that's when we will be judged. You see, let's see actually Yamaraj what he says. This is Yamaraj speaking to his servants, Yamadutas. So when somebody dies, people think, oh, Yamaraj will come and take me. No, Yamaraj won't come. He will send his dutas, Yamadutas. And then they will come and take us to Yamaraj. So at one point, this particular leela is that in one mission, the Yamadutas failed. Usually the Yamadutas, nobody can stop them from taking the departed soul. But in one special case, they were foiled in their attempt to grab that soul because of a very, very peculiar circumstance where that person, Ajamil, chanted the name of Narayan. And immediately Vishnudutas came. Yamadutas came, Vishnudutas also came. Because this Ajamil was very, very sinful whole life. Although he was from Brahmin family and everything, he contacted a prostitute and lost all good qualities, chased his wife away, parents away, married the prostitute, had 10 children. Last child, he named him Narayan. And he was 88 years old. Just imagine, at that age, he has a 2-year-old child. And so, uncontrolled life. And to maintain such a family, he used to engage in illicit activities, criminal activities. So, he was an extremely sinful person. So, By some good fortune, the last son happened to be Narayan. So at the time of death, when, because he was very attached to his youngest son, and he used to call, "Oh Narayan, how are you? Where are you? Did you eat? Did you drink? Or whatever." So in this way, he was getting attached to his son, and he was used to calling the name Narayan. And at the time of death, when he saw these disfigured forms of the Yamadutas with chains and everything coming to grab him, then he shouted, "Oh Narayan, Narayan," out of affection. Of course, the child cannot do anything, but out of affection, he did not know what to call, Narayan, because that's the most attached. But that's what happens when we are at the time of death. What will come to our mind? Whatever we are most attached to, whoever we are most attached to, that will come into our mind. So if I keep a pet dog, I'm running a risk. Or if I keep the posters of my favorite cricket player, I'm running a risk. It's serious business, because whatever I'm most attached to, I will remember at the time of death. So he was remembering Narayan like that, his son. But then when he called Narayan, he remembered Narayan, whose name he used to chant when he was a young boy as a Brahmana, Brahmachari. And immediately Vishnudutas came. They said, no, you cannot take him. They told the Yamadutas. Why? Who are you to stop? Of course, they knew that these were very powerful beings. They never saw such beautiful beings. The Vishnudutas looked as good as Vishnu, and so powerful, regal in their presence. Never were they countered. So it was a very, very bizarre experience for them. And who are you? Why are you stopping us? No, he's not sinful. You can only take sinful people. Well, this whole life is full of sin. No, but because he's chanted, he's no more sinful. That one chant of Narayan is so powerful that he has counteracted all the pap that he has done in his life. And then they were like, what? Then they said, you cannot go. You cannot take him. Then they had to leave. They went back to Yamaraj to ask him, what is this? We were never stopped. Now we are stopped. What is happening? So that time, Yamaraj explains these things, the religious principles about devotional service. How it is greater, is so powerful, chanting name. So then, chanting the name of Krishna. So here, he is saying, Jihvana Vakti Bhagavad Gunanamadheyam Chetaschana Smarati Charanarvindam Krishnaya no namati yachiraye kadapi tananayadvamasato krita Vishnu krityan. My dear servants, please bring to me only those sinful persons who do not use their tongues to chant the holy name and qualities of Krishna, whose hearts do not remember the lotus feet of Krishna even once, and whose heads do not bow down even once before Lord Krishna. Send me those who do not perform their duties toward Vishnu, which are the only duties in human life. Bring me all such fools and rascals. This is Yamaraj's instruction. What is the instruction? Those who are not devotees of Krishna, bring them to me. Those who don't chant, bring them. So Yamaraj is the superintendent of death. So that Krishna is saying, he is my representation. Yamaraj is my representation. So of course, he says, I am Yamaraj. He says. He also says, I am the lion. That does not mean lion. Tomorrow we will start worshipping lion and put garland over lion. You try doing that and then, yeah, somebody will put garland on us. So it is not that when he says, Mriganam Mrigendroham, I am lion among the beasts, that does not mean he is actually lion. Please, so what he's saying is, among the beasts I am the lion. So the greatest thing among the beasts is the lion. So that is my representation. So the lion has such power, there's such ferocity, such agility, such command over the other animals of the forest, because it is empowered by Krishna's power. Unless we are empowered, we cannot have any influence over anything, even our own body. I cannot move my hands if the Lord does not will it. If the Lord decides to paralyze one half of my body, then I cannot move even if I want to. So this is not within our control, but it is within the Lord's control. So when we say things like, "Oh, I did it," or "I can do it," well, you may be able to do it only because the Lord allows you to do it. Oh, I earn my own money, I use my own intelligence. Well, who gave you the intelligence? No, my mother and father. Well, sometimes the mother and father are intelligent, but the child comes out a retard. So, right? And the mother did not engineer the intelligence of the child as she was bearing the child within the womb. Okay, now I'm creating the intelligence of the child, creating the brain now. No, she has no idea what's going on. So much so that they kill their own children. They don't even know it's a child there. They think it's a lump. It is a future child, but not a child yet. They think like this. But that's most sinful. They don't even know that there's a child there. Imagine, they don't even know how the body is created, even the mother or the father. They are just instruments in the grand creation plan of Krishna. They're just some instruments, that's all. So, if the sooner we understand that's better. So anyway, the mother, she did not engineer. So the intelligence is given by Krishna. So whatever we are doing, ultimately it is given by Krishna. So everybody, all the personalities that are mentioned here, among the birds I am Garuda. So Garuda is empowered by the Lord, and that's why he has such power. Among the fish I am the shark, he says. Right? So shark is very powerful. So where does it get some power from? Again, Krishna. So in this way we have to understand. So he says, I am Yama, I am Yamaraj. Actually, it is said in the Vedas that in the Satya Yuga, when people say Indra or Yama or all these demigods, they never meant them separately. They meant them as part and parcel of the universal form of the Lord. They never saw them separately from the Lord. Later on with Treta Yuga, the starting of separation of God and the Devatas became more prominent. Dwapara Yuga even more, Kali Yuga even more. They think Krishna is one of the gods. Or maybe a bit powerful human being, but not like God. He may be a historical personality, but not God per se. So it has degenerated. The society and their understanding of God has degenerated so badly that now they say man is also God. God is man. Ayodhya temple is built. Everybody Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. Then there is some group, they say Sai Ram. That is bigger insult to Ram than what the Muslims did in some centuries back when they tore down that temple there, Ayodhya. How can you equate? Who is this Sai? First of all, he is a human being. Not mentioned in any single scripture of the entire Vedic scriptures that he is an avatar of God. Never. Because every avatar should be mentioned. Buddha avatar was mentioned. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is mentioned. Kalki avatar, who is yet to come 427,000 years later, he is also mentioned. Avatar of Vishnu must be mentioned in the Shastra, otherwise he is fake. Immediately. Don't even hesitate. Don't be this quote unquote tolerant Hindu, where actually it's an act of cowardice because you do not know whether you are right or wrong, you do not know what to stand for, and therefore you hide under the mask of tolerance. Let us not be such stupid people. Oh, we do not know whether it's God or not, so better not offend them. They asked me to put his picture in the altar. He said he put his picture and then something good happened to him. Maybe, I also will get, put the picture in the altar. This is how useless, meaningless, baseless sentiments which introduce this kind of worship. Because why? Never read the Bhagavad Gita. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, anybody who reads Bhagavad Gita will immediately understand that a man cannot be God. Forget it. Even the Devatas can never be God. Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma cannot be equal to Krishna. How many verses are stating that in the Bhagavad Gita? The problem is nobody reads. So this is why we have to be informed. Then we will know what is correct and what is wrong. If you say things like Sai Ram, you are offending God to the max. You are equating a absolute infinitesimal jiva. You are equating it to the infinite God. How can they both be put together in one word like that? Shame on people who do this. Big uproar about Tirupati Laddu. I said this, I'll say it again. That Laddu is the perfect representation of our Sanatan Dharma at this point. All kinds of what is that called? Adulterations inside that Laddu. Beef is also there, which is supposed to be against our complete against. And we are doing that. Our religion itself is like that Laddu at this point. Adulterated to the max. We don't even know who God is. We don't know who we are. We don't know what devotion is. We don't know what darshan is. Everybody's into this darshan. Big program for darshans. Where is Shravan? Shravanam. Darshanam. Okay, fine. Where is Shravanam? Where is the hearing? Where is the classes? Christians have sermons. The Muslims, they have their own lectures going on in their dargahs and in their masjids and their madrasas. They have full education system going on. Christians have convents. Their education system going on. What do we have? Where is our Gurukul system? When we ask people, sir, bring your child to the Bhagavad Gita class. No, my child has swimming class. Okay. Fine. What we've lost, our priorities are not there. Everything is lost. Just like that Laddu. In fact, it's just, it's just fully adulterated. God is supposed to be the first thing in life. Work, home second. Work third. To maintain all this paraphernalia, work. This is the level of priority that should be. Now, exact opposite. Work is first. Home second. Because most of your waking hours are at workplace. Like an ass, we have to work. And we are given some credentials. Oh, I'm a CEO of this, or I'm a manager of this and that. Give you some title, some dog biscuits, and let you be a dog. Our education system, degree, masters, PhDs, after that what? We have to become a slave to someone. Otherwise, we cannot sustain. Whereas our Vedic education is not like this. Everybody is trained to become an independent thinker, Brahmana. And wealth is not given the greatness. It's not put on a pedestal. Now, who is the successful? Oh, Forbes 50, Forbes 100 list, Forbes 30. Most successful people are those who are rich and famous. And these are it is just a propaganda. They're not great. If I see, to push my propaganda, I can make one magazine and then let's say let's inspire others to also work hard for us. How? Well, give them good salary, not good enough. Give them some fame, give them some recognition, give them some awards, and put a come. So let's start a magazine listing down all those people who made it in life, and people will think and I also want to become like this, role models. So in that way, there's create a culture where you will be willingly a slave. They don't call it a slave now, they call employee. How different is it? You have freedom, you don't. You have to ask the boss for a leave one day, sir, I want to spend with my family. I have some. No, why you have to spend? No, you work. No, somebody passed away. Who passed away? Not your so-called near relative. Never mind. You work. Or I have to go to the temple, today's Janmashtami. No, sorry, you work. India, though, there is at least national holiday. Here, where? There's nothing. You work first. So, it is slavery. How is it different? You just changing the words doesn't mean it's anything different. Oh, this slave, no more think like this. There's no more such slavery that used to exist in the medieval times. So, but it's still there. So, in this way, we do not know actually what we have to prioritize. So, this is why we say, and don't just bring the children to the Bhagavad Gita class. Even adults should come, because we ourselves don't know. What will we teach our children? What will we teach? The reason why our culture is declining generation after generation is because nothing is being handed down. Nothing is being handed down. Our grandparents, they may be religious, but they did not know very well scripturally. Maybe some, I'm not saying everybody, but maybe some knew some Veda, Puranas, something. But 99% don't know anything. They just heard something from their parents. Out of piety, they did something. But when they had to explain to their children, which means our parents, like my parents, they did not explain much. They just encourage them in a materialistic education system and career path and like that. In fact, they're very, gung-ho about their children becoming, somebody in life and career. They have to become they have to make it in life and career-wise. Otherwise, he's seen as a loser if he doesn't make money. There is a status attached to it. There is a whole, baggage that comes with it. Marriage options that come with it. All kinds of things. So, this has become the focal point. Nobody thinks anymore that actually God is important. In fact, so-called Hindus will be the one most secular. Others are not secular. They're not. Hindus are the so-called secular. And secular, when you say secular, means anti-religion, not just neutral, religion neutral. No, anti-religion. Atheistic. So the reason why, because they do not read the Bhagavad Gita. We should not be like this. And this is not just Hindu. Bhagavad Gita is not Hindu. Vedas are not Hindu. The word Hindu does not exist in our entire Vedic scriptures. It is a name given by the Muslims. So that's how much informed we are about our religion, that we do not know the name of our religion. We think Hinduism is our religion. What religion? Hindu. What is Hindu? Islam word is in Quran. Christ is there in Bible. Hindu word is not there in our scriptures. Our religion is the most messed up at this current point. So, that is because we have to learn now. And it's not Hinduism, it is Sanatan dharma. And there are many recommendations in Sanatan dharma. That's why there are so many modes of worship. But as we read from Bhagavad Gita, we will understand they are meant for a different purpose and for a different time. In Kali Yuga, That kind of perfection, if we start worshipping demigods, many thousands and millions of lives later, we may come to the point of worshipping Vishnu. Because that is the time it will take to accrue enough piety to come to the point of worshipping Vishnu. So why do I have to wait all that? Just take to Krishna, worship immediately. That's it. That's what Krishna is saying. If you see the ultimate instruction of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya. What did he say? Sarva dharman parityajya. He says, Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami. I came to re-establish religious principles, he said in the 4th chapter. But here he is saying, Sarva dharman parityajya. Sarva dharman means all varieties of religion, parityajya, abandon. He is asking us to abandon all varieties of religion. And do what? Mam ekam sharanam vraja. It cannot be simpler than this. Mam means me. Krishna is saying. Ekam, one. Only, exclusively me. Sharanam vraja. Take shelter of. Not some devatas, even Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Ganesh, Durga, Saraswati, Lakshmi. No one but Krishna. Because they themselves depend on Krishna. And he explains that in the 10th chapter, he explains 7th chapter, he explains. Many times he explains these things. So we have to read these things. 7th, 9th, all these chapters he explains these things. So, if we read Bhagavad Gita, just one book, we don't have to read all the Vedas and Puranas and Itihasas. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandana partho vatsaha sudhir bhokta dugdham gitamritam mahat. Shankaracharya, he said in his Gita Mahatmya, 6th verse. What did he say? Sarvopanishado gavo. All the Upanishads, if we consider them together as one cow, then this Gita is the milk from that cow. Now you cannot get milk from the cow unless she has a calf. Who is that calf? Arjuna is the calf. Partho vatsaha. And who drinks the milk? Sudhir bhokta. All the intelligent people, the great thinkers, who are intelligent. Sudhi. Dhi means intelligence. Sudhi means very good intelligence. Those who have good intelligence, they will drink this milk. So to have the milk, the essence of the Vedas, there was the calf Arjuna who made it possible. And then Krishna himself is the milkman, Gopalanandana. The milkman cannot draw milk unless there is calf, right? So Arjuna was there. But we can all get the milk. Just like the cow gives milk to the calf, but by nature's way, by Krishna's own arrangement, she gives more milk than is necessary for the calf, and that's meant for human consumption. We are not vegans. Veganism is again a purist ideology that is without God, atheistic, trying to make something good but without God. There are many such movements where they want to do good, but they don't want to have God in that as the solution. They have their own version of the solution. That does not work. That does not work. Veganism is a atheistic idea. Intentions are good. Okay, they don't want to, harm. But you cannot avoid harm, for example. For example, avocados. Billions, I'm not talking millions, billions of bees are killed in the process of creating avocados commercially. Yeah. And even for the honey, bees are killed or driven away from their home. They worked hard to collect the honey, and then we are stealing their honey. Yeah. Silk, we cannot use silk then. But for the Lord, we can use silk. So we are not vegetarians or vegans. No, we are not. Milk is not a vegetarian food, first of all. Is it coming from a vegetable? It's not. Why do you say it is vegetarian? I don't understand actually the logic behind that, because it's not vegetarian. It is an animal product. So, but we drink. Tobacco is vegetarian, but we don't. Tea is also vegetarian, coffee is vegetarian, but we don't. Onion, garlic, vegetarian, we don't. So, our thing is what is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. That is our, because that is what Krishna has established. And prasadam is beyond sattvic. So, this is the classification that we adhere to, because that is given by Krishna. So, we are not vegetarians, or we can't, we will not subscribe to that, and they are not perfect as well. They have come up with that idea in order to solve some problem, but that's not the solution, because solution, if you take out God from the solution, it's not going to be a solution, it's going to be another problem. To even have rice, you go to the field and see how the farmers grow rice. How many rats will be there, how many wasps will be there. You have to use pesticides, they have to use so many things. Even if they do naturally, organically, they have to kill, they have to keep weed out. Killing a plant is also life. They say, oh, vegans. Why vegans? The plants don't have life? Only the animals have life? Oh, you're compassionate about animals. What about the plants? So this is all a very, very concocted, misconstrued idea. Veganism means, oh, I'm not committing violence. Committing violence against plants is not violence. Why is it not violence? And for agriculture, you have to, deforestation have to be done. I mean, you have to have land, right? You have to clear some land. Where are you going to get the land from? So, we cannot have this purist idea. It's a misfit. The whole idea is a misfit. So, if we analyze properly from Shastric viewpoint, what is explained in the Shastra by Krishna, then we will see that what Krishna describes or prescribes for us, that is the practical solution for everything. But if we do not heed to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and create our own situations, our solutions, they are not going to be practical. Even principle wise, they will fail. So, I cannot go further. It's way beyond time. So, I will have to go to the next, 30th was only next session. So, any questions or comments on this point? You see, here there is a comment saying that honey and silk vegans won't use. So we are against that. We use honey, we use silk. For the Lord, we have to offer silk. We are also allowed to use silk. Honey, we are supposed to be using. For the Abhishek of the Lord, Panchamrita, there is honey, there is milk, there is yogurt. So all these are not from so-called vegetarian sources, or they are vegetarian, but honey, but it is taken by the honeybee, and maybe the saliva of the honeybee is there, and then you stole it and you killed some bees there in the process. It's not clean business. It's not clean business, but because the Lord sanctions it, it can be done. And those bees who collected that honey, which eventually went to be offered to the Lord, the bees get benefited. What vegans can offer to the so-called people or animals they are trying to save? They cannot. Oh, they are not going to drink milk. Here we are using the cow's milk to offer to the Lord and drink. Cow is being benefited because her milk is going to Krishna. So they are in those bodies like bees, or all these plant bodies, those fruits and flowers that our vegetables we are offering to Krishna. Those souls who have taken on those plant bodies are being benefited. They don't have to take rebirth in countless number of forms before. They will jump the evolutionary cycle so much. We are cutting thousands and if not millions of years in their evolution, and they can easily come to human life very quickly. Such arrangement is going on in the background when we just do the simple act of offering, what Krishna asks us to offer. We offer that to Krishna. And not just these things. Look at this woodwork. Look at this woodwork. Intricate woodwork. The artisan who did this, he will be benefited. But think about the trees from where this wood came. A fruit can be offered for one day, for one offering to the Lord. This wood is going to be there for years, decades. For so long it will be offered. These banana trees which are here, all these things, there is so much, these mango leaves, this tree is offering every time. Our Shamananda Prabhu will climb. He will climb all the way up and bring those mango leaves. So this mango tree will be benefited. So this leaf is offering for Krishna. So the devotees, they offer these things and then devotees get benefit. If we eat, whoever eats, they get benefit. And those who contribute these plants, these flowers that we offer to the Lord, garlands, Matajis are making garlands. The flower, just imagine the journey of this flower, from which country, from which farm it grew, and then eventually, all by traveling, it came here to this temple here, through the agents, whoever are bringing, and eventually came here and offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, or at the neck of the Lord. So, we do not know how much Krishna is actually purifying all these souls just by us doing simple things like this. So, this is how we should understand. So, it's the most practical solution. All right. Anything else? Any questions or comments?
Did Lord Krishna incarnate Devaki from Kṛṣṇa?
Where you're seeing? Oh. Did Lord Krishna incarnate to save Arjuna or Mother Devaki from Kṛṣṇa? Well, he came to do so many things and he did so many things. He does so many things at once. That's the Lord. He doesn't just come for one thing. Did he come for this? Yes. Did he come for that? Yes. Did he come for that? That also, yes. So he does one, like the Damodar month. He accepted the love of Mother Yashoda. He also liberated the Nalakovar and Manigriva, who were standing there for thousands of years as trees at the same time. And he made that whole leela be recorded so that we can today understand how, what is the real love, how to actually capture the Lord by love and devotion. So in this way, he's doing so many things just at once. Just like Vamanadev, he accepted the surrender of Bali Maharaj. He showed the level of surrender of a pure devotee. At the same time, he brought Ganga down. Side business. As there was first step, a second step, a third step. Ganga is coming there. Second step. Side business. In one leela, there are so many other leelas going on. Infinite, in fact. We only know 2, 3. Daivarahasyas. These are Daivarahasyas. More and more higher beings, they will know more and more secrets, more and more things that the Lord is doing. Like, for example, classic Ramayana. Sita was kidnapped by Ravan, right? But actually, it is not Sita. Surprising. In Kurma Puran, the evidence is there that when Ravan came to abduct her, she went inside the ashram and came out with some fruits to offer to him, and then he kidnapped. But actually, when she went inside, the one came out was a Maya Sita. The real Sita went to Agni Dev's planet. And because the real Sita actually Ravan cannot touch. Only the illusory teacher Sita he touched. So now, after the whole Ravan was killed and everything, then there was Agni Pariksha of Sita to test her faithfulness, chastity. So that is a lesson. Yes, a woman should be very faithful to the husband. Sita was a prime example and how she. But actually, the secret behind is the Sita who went into the fire is the illusory Sita, and the one who came out of the fire is the real Sita from Agni Dev's planet. So there was one devotee during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, Ramdas Vipra. He was crying because he was in the mood of Hanuman. He was always thinking, he was a great devotee of Lord Ram. So he was always thinking, how is it possible that, Mother Sita can be touched by Ravan? Yeah, she was saved, fine, but how is it possible that such a pure lady could be touched by such a vile being as Ravan? So in this way, he could not stay in peace, sleep in peace, eat in peace. So what happened? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he found this verses from Kurma Purana and brought him. See, this is the actual truth. Actually, he never touched Sita. It's an illusory Sita only. So in this way. So there are so many things that the Lord is doing that cannot be described as unlimited. That's why Ananta, we learned Ananta today. She is, he is describing with his thousands and thousands of mouths the leelas of the Lord since the beginning of time, but until now did not come to the end of it. It's still going on, unlimited. Ramayana on this earth is 25,000 verses long. In the Brahmaloka, it's 1 billion verses long. Same Ramayana. How much more detail is there? 1 billion verses. So they can be unlimitedly expanded. Alright, I'll stop it here. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
No pressure.